Ethernet cables, and it works perfectly. We're going to have a great day today and tomorrow. It's going to be an awesome conference. We've been working for a month with these companies to get them ready to be on the stage. Many of them are not from the Valley. They're from all over the world, in fact. And they've worked incredibly hard. And you know what that's like. There's a lot of entrepreneurs in the audience. And they're each going to take 5 minutes to show you what they do. They're then going to get some questions from our grand jury, from our judges. We have 2 competitions going on. One is called 1.0. The other is called 2.0. 1.0, brand new companies, brand new products. You haven't heard of them, hopefully. 2.0, existing companies you've heard of, like Stack Overflow, which will be the first company to present today. They're in our 2.0 competition. The 2.0 competition is existing companies with new products. So next year, the 1.0s could actually compete in the 2.0. We have 5 awards that we're going to give in each category. Best overall, the winner of the 1.0 and the 2.0. Best design and UI, best business plan, best presentation, and technological achievement, best technological achievement. Those are going to be given by the grand jury. The grand jury is sitting in the front row. They'll be on the stage at the end of the day discussing what we saw. So unlike years past when we were doing the TechCrunch 50 or 40 event, instead of just Mike and I in the old days voting, I decided to go with the grand jury. I've taken myself out of the voting. This event is run to be affordable and a meritocracy, and so that everybody can come and enjoy it. We gave away many free tables to noteworthy startups that maybe couldn't afford it. We have 3 startups from an incubator in Guana that we found. Amazing. And they're out there. Please take some time to go into the demo pit. We call it the launch pad. And meet those companies. They're very well deserving. They almost made it on stage in some cases. And we're actually going to, at the end of each day, today and tomorrow, bring a couple of them up from the demo pit out there, the launch pad, rather, and have them present. I'm going to ask the grand jury to actually do that. So my grand jury members, if you find somebody there that you really like, at lunch, come see me, and we'll pick, I think, 3 of them a day to be on stage. So grand jury, that's your job during lunch. Go into the launch pad and pick companies to bring on stage. Finally, we have Second Market has provided a piece of software called SimX for you guys to vote on which ones you liked most. And instead of me explaining it, and you can get to it, by the way, at simx.secondmarket.com, simx.secondmarket.com. And we're going to play a brief video about the marketplace for these companies right now.
Hey there, Simmy. Should be some great companies presenting today, and we want to know what you think. After you've checked out the vendors, let me take a second to tell you about SimX. SimX is the easy and fun way for you to vote on your favorite companies that are presenting today. Voice your opinion, share information, and win cool prizes. It's easy. Go find your seat, and I'll show you how to get started. Log in at simx.secondmarket.com on your mobile browser and register with a valid email address. Don't worry, we won't spam you. The game is simple. If you think a company rocks, press the plus button to buy their stock. If someone wants to sell at that price, the row will flash and your shares will go up. On the other hand, if you think a company is going to be vaporware, then click sell. You can cancel a buy or sell order before it's matched by pressing the red X. You can also click on a company's logo to get more information. And you can share your opinions by signing into your Twitter account right from the app. Just click on a logo to add a company's hashtag. We'll show historical charts in between presentations so you can see how all the companies are doing throughout the conference. And best of all, the player with the most shares and the highest priced company wins a prize. Congratulations, Simmy, you're a winner! Well, don't forget to join us next time. Hope you enjoy playing SimX.
Awesome, so everybody go download that. There's going to be some prizes given away by the fine folks at Second Market. Let me bring out our judges for the first session. Dave Goldberg, Drew Houston, Mike Jones, Dan'l Lewin, I just saw in the front row, and Josh Williams. Come on out. Thanks for joining us. Josh Williams, of course, with Gowalla. Dan'l Lewin, an old friend from Microsoft. And Drew actually was in the TechCrunch 40, I believe, with Dropbox, correct? The 50, the second year. So he knows what it's like to be on the stage. Interestingly enough, Dave Goldberg created a company called Launch and sold it to Yahoo, who still owns the domain name. I'm working on it. Where Launch.dat is. Mike Jones, serial entrepreneur, sold his company to AOL at the same time I did, actually, and is running MySpace. And Matt Coffin, serial entrepreneur, running Family Finds today, and angel investor in 25 companies?
I think it's 30.
30.
It's about 30.
So I guess that qualifies you as a super angel. The judges...
Or lucky angel.
Yeah, very lucky.
So far.
Yeah, you've had some big wins in there already.
Yeah, we just sold Hotlook last week
yes,
to
congratulations on
Nordstrom's.
that. Yeah. So for the judges, these are 5-minute presentations. We've specifically asked the people presenting not to waste too much time on who they are, not to go too into depth into the competitive set. So if they don't talk about the competitive set and who they are, please don't penalize them for that in your Q&A. Grand jury, during the sessions, you're taking copious notes about what you liked and didn't like, so that at the end of the day, we can discuss who the front runners are for the 5 awards in each of the 2 categories. Let's bring up our first presentation in the 2.0 competition, Joel Spolsky of Stack Overflow.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Joel Spolsky from Stack Overflow. For those of you that have been living in a cave, is that rude to say that, living in a cave? Stack Overflow is the preeminent website where programmers ask questions, get answers to those questions. It's a part of the Stack Exchange network. Over 19 million globally unique visitors on the Stack Exchange network, a network of over 40 independent Q&A websites. The biggest one, of course, Stack Overflow, gets 12 million monthly visitors. We have about 500,000 people that have contributed, programmers that have contributed a question or an answer. Lots and lots of questions, lots and lots of answers on the site. Some of those programmers are really brilliant. What you're looking at, it's the Mona Lisa, right? But it's been compressed using an algorithm that was developed by one of the Stack Overflow programmers to fit in a single tweet. And you can see that he's using Chinese there because it has more bits. Some of the programmers on Stack Overflow appear to be rather underemployed. And some of them have terrible jobs. Sorry, Iowa. That's where you come in, and that's the whole point of Stack Overflow Careers 2.0, which is the best place on the internet to find your next programmer. Jason mentioned yesterday, a bunch of people in the startup community were complaining about a lack of ability to get programmers. So that's what we're doing here. Let's go straight to the demo. The first thing I'm going to show you is the employer side. What employers see when they go to search for somebody. You can see we've got a concept of an active versus a passive candidate. An active candidate is somebody who is actually looking for a job. Passive candidate is a member of Stack Overflow who might be interested but isn't actively looking. And let's say I want to find, you can see there where they're distributed around the world and what their technology skills are. Let's say I'm looking for a Python programmer in San Francisco. So we'll do a search. What we're doing is actually searching that programmer's activity on Stack Overflow to see how they rank in their tag. And if they're an active candidate, also they get to choose kind of what technologies they want to work in and what technologies they never want to see again. So there's a bunch of Python candidates in San Francisco. You can see by the map of the world that some of them just want to move to San Francisco, and I don't blame them. But let's go ahead and find the ones that are already in the Bay Area because I don't feel like relocating anybody. And right now we got 23 active, and we got a list down the left-hand side. And there's Michael Arrington. So didn't realize he was a Python programmer. Let's bring up his profile. There you go. There's the technologies that he likes. It looks like a regular resume. It's got his experience and education and stuff like that. But if you scroll down, this is the really useful part for hiring. You can see answers that he's written on Stack Overflow and judge for yourself whether this is a real programmer or just somebody that has a resume that looks like a real programmer. So that looks like assembler. This guy looks like a bozo. Can we go to the next guy? Jason Calacanis. Oh, I didn't realize you were a Python programmer, Jason. Cool. He's answered a few thousand Python questions on the Stack Overflow. Once again, usual experience education stuff is on there, but the most important thing is the peer-reviewed questions that he's been answering on the site. So I like this guy. I want to hire him. I'm going to send him a message. Click on that little thing. The message is pre-composed for me because I send all the same messages describing how awesome it is to work for us. And that's how that goes. Let's look at it from the other side now. If you are a programmer on Stack Overflow, the first thing to know is that this is a very exclusive group. It's invite only. You cannot buy your way anymore onto the system. And you're either invited by the company because of your work on Stack Overflow or by your peers who say, hey, this guy's good. I think you should incorporate him. Young Jason here has a resume that has shown up on Careers 2.0 or a profile. It doesn't have any information on it yet, but it is linked to his Stack Overflow account. And so the first thing he might want to do is go in there and choose some of the answers that he's written that he thinks best represent him as a programmer, which will appear on his profile for employers to look at, and that's fairly easy. And then because this is sort of replacing a resume, he may want to put his experience and education in there. It's just the usual fill out the fields, but since that can become tedious, we also have a LinkedIn import. So with one click, you can go plink. With 2 clicks, you can import. With 3 clicks, you can import your LinkedIn experience and education to bring that in. And once you've done that, that's it. You've got your whole portfolio there, your resume, your experience, and some of the great answers that you've been writing on Stack Overflow. So that's the demo. We think that the old system of resumes that have a bunch of kind of nonsense on them is a big waste of time. Nobody really cares. It doesn't mean you're a good programmer just because you went to Harvard or worked at Microsoft. That's not really evidence that you're going to be a good programmer. We want to see the code, and we want to see programmers showing their great work. That's Careers 2.0 by Stack Overflow. It is going to be live in a few minutes at careers.stackoverflow.com. Thank you.
Awesome. Some questions from the judges. Dan'l, I know you work with programmers. That's a big part of what Microsoft does. What did you think?
Terrific. Overall, interesting, concise. Nice that you can do the import from LinkedIn and other things like that. I think that's smart. There's a need. You got the tools. People need the talent. You know what I mean?
Yep. Drew, fan of Stack Overflow, I'm sure.
Yeah, I really like the concept. You know, we're always looking for great engineers, and you know, I'm going to send this to our recruiting team like right after this. So
there's a big endorsement. Dave,
I liked it too. Is it free, or we have to pay for it?
It's free for the job seekers. The employers obviously are paying for it. It starts at $500 for a 1-week access to the database. So if you're just looking to hire 1 or 2 people, you can try it out with a $500 1 week. And then if it kind of works out for you, you can subscribe with as much as an annual subscription, which goes to $5,000. There's a money-back guarantee, which nobody else has. So if you don't find somebody, you don't pay.
And is Dice your kind of primary competitor in this?
Except for the fact that they're kind of an undifferentiated sourcer of resumes as opposed to an actual way to analyze somebody's work. The traditional Dice, Monster, Career Builder, et cetera, are kind of our competition. We feel like we get you a lot farther in the recruiting process. Like we get you past the first screen, essentially. You can sanity check if somebody's actually a programmer, and that eliminates probably 90% of the resumes that you would receive from a sourcing service.
What does the interface look like for actually like reaching out to a candidate or vice versa? Do we have like your eharmonymatch.com kind of back and forth?
Yes. It's like, do you want to talk to this guy?
Yeah.
It sort of depends on the state of the candidate. So if it's an active candidate, they're going to receive a message directly and they'll get an email. If they're a passive candidate, the next time they log on to Stack Overflow, we will ask them for permission to include them and allow them to be contacted.
And what about, is there anything with like GitHub? Are you able to import or link, code samples from that? 'Cause I know
We actually think that linking to code samples from GitHub is really valuable. Right now, we have a very simple URL linking feature, but one of our highest priority features would be to actually bring code samples, blog posts, GitHub repositories, tweets, anything that a developer considers a part of their personal profile onto that profile page and one-box it.
And there's an opt-in process from being a Stack Overflow user to being listed on this?
The Stack Overflow users that are active candidates, it's invite only, so they have to be invited. There are also Stack Overflow users who employers can search if we have enough information about them, but they're not really considered in the system. So those are the passive candidates, and those users would then have to opt in after we tell them that there are people looking at them.
Have you thought about the fine print on the IP that people post up there?
The IP that's on Stack Overflow has always been under Creative Commons. So our entire database is downloadable. There's a BitTorrent somewhere where you can get the whole.
But people's work, for example.
People's work is actually a part of that
Same
Creative
principle.
Commons, and when they contribute it,
Great.
it's
Good.
Creative Commons.
Hey, have you thought at all about, this is
sort of tangential, but any innovation around the business model related to, can I talk about business model?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Is
Encouraged
that,
to. Yeah.
around the business model related to either helping developers make a lot more money? Right?
One of the things that we've noticed on Stack Overflow is that a lot of people in there are, like I say, great developers at the Iowa City Department of Transportation or whatever, and they're working on some payroll application, and they don't even understand what market is for what they do, and they don't even realize,
that's what I'm talking
what
about.
they're worth in the world. And that's sort of part of our goal, is to elevate some of those people into, real jobs where they get paid competitively, and kind of make them visible for that. And one of the great things about Stack Overflow is if you look at our top users, they're not really famous programmers. They're not like the people that you know, but they are amazing. I mean, they're really absolutely incredible, and they're usually toiling away somewhere being relatively unrecognized. So Stack Overflow is a place both to learn more about how to be a better developer and pretty much just kind of bootstrap your career to the next stage.
Great. Let's hear it for Joel and Stack Overflow's Careers 2.0.
Thank you.
Really good start. Let's welcome to the stage UI. UI?
All right. Morning, everyone. Let's get started. So who here has done user testing on a website before? Just raise your hand. Who's done user testing? All right, that's a healthy number of people. Who would like to do it more often? Like, do you get enough of it? Yeah, that's a lot more people. Now, how many of you have gotten to do eye tracking tests on your website? How many of you gotten to do it? Who would like to be able to do that? Who would like to be able to see what people actually see on your website and understand the user experience a bit better? Well, that's what UI is here to do for you today. UI is an online user testing service with webcam eye tracking. We make it really easy to get great insights into the user experience of any website. But let's just start showing you instead of talking about it. Let's create a user test right now. Imagine you are a designer at Amazon, and you know that people aren't making wish lists the way you're expecting them to. So we'll make a test about wish lists. We'll give the tester a scenario. Say your birthday's coming up, and you want to make it really easy for your friends to find the right gifts for you. We'll give them 3 tasks. The first is, find a few gifts you would like to receive. Second, add them to a wish list. And third, share your wish list with your friend. In this case, user test at Amazon. And then you give them a URL where they're going to start their user test on. So, bam, that user test is made, and now you have 3 ways to share it. You could share it as a link, put it on your blog, IM it, direct email, or we make it easy to put it on Twitter or Facebook. The second is an embed prompt you can add to your site. A light box will pop up. It'll ask actual visitors to your website to take a test and help you out. And the third is you can hire testers through UI. We have a directory of demographics that you can request and hire, and that's one of the best ways to test your product before you launch it. So once we send the test to the testers, this is what they see. They see a nice prompt that thanks them for volunteering and tells them, we're going to record your screen, your webcam, your microphone, and after we tell them that, they get to see the test. We give them the scenario, they see the task, they get familiar with it. And now we start the recording, and it's super simple, super simple. It's a 1-click allow to turn on your webcam and your microphone. It's a 1-click allow to also start the screen recorder. And once the recording is started, they'll jump right into the test, and this is what they'll see. They'll have a pane on the left that gives you your tasks. They'll be able to navigate the website in their natural, normal manner and go back completing those tasks. And when they think they're done, they'll click on Finished, and this is the result you get. You get a video of the person's entire screen, the tester's entire screen. You can hear their audio commentary. You can see them navigating around their website. You can see what they see with a gaze track. And for the Amazon designer in this situation, it was really easy for him because he saw that people were looking at the product and the description, and then they're going to jump over and look at the add to cart, but no one ever looked at the wish list button on the lower right. No one knew it was there, so he made a quick decision. He decided to move it up to the cart, and it made all the difference. So I ask you today, come out to UI.com, request a beta invite, and start testing people. We make it really easy to get insights into user experience of any web page. Thanks, and I'm ready for some questions, I think.
Awesome. Always a great sign when you finish in under the 5 minutes. Josh, you make a beautiful product over at GoWalla, if I do say so myself. What did you think? Is this something you would use to do user testing?
We definitely use this. We're doing a lot right now that, when you go through just A/B testing, where do we put this button? Do we make it orange? Do we make it green? That sort of thing. So I think it would definitely be useful. I guess one of the questions I have is, is there a reason why you have to iframe, the site that's in question? Because I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect when you start adding Chrome, your own Chrome to it. Have you thought more about how that might work out?
There's a few different layouts we could do. We could do 2 separate windows possibly.
Have you
The
UI?
key is yeah, we have UI'd a little bit, but early beta, so we're testing ourselves every day and trying to make it better.
I'd love to give it a try. So
yeah, I'd love to give you a chance to try it too.
Dave Goldberg, SurveyMonkey, one of my favorite products. I use it every week in the launch newsletter. It's really well designed. How do you do user testing? How does this compare?
We do a lot of user testing at SurveyMonkey. I think it's definitely very interesting. I think people need this to sort of understand what their users are doing. I guess my question is, we actually do eye tracking studies. We have some of the gear ourselves, and we bring people in and do it. How accurate is the webcam going to be relative to the eye tracking gear?
Roughly speaking, we can maintain an area of accuracy about the size of 2 Twitter profile photos put side by side. So you can imagine what the size of that on your screen. It's a pretty useful accuracy level. It's not going to be the high grain accuracy you get with like face mounted cameras, but it's very practical. It's really, really beneficial information you get out of it.
And have you A/B tested like the more expensive setups to yours, so you can see?
Yeah, we've checked out a lot of the other options available, which are hardware, software combination options, or actual like headgear, because you can get the fancy desktop that costs $30,000 with cameras and hanging off it and all that. But it performs quite well.
I think if you can prove to people that there's not much difference in sort of results between those two, I think it's really powerful. I think that'd be our question internally. So.
And it's power per dollar kind of situation too.
Absolutely.
So.
The cost thing is great.
So what is your model for
It's
pricing?
a monthly subscription SaaS. So there's a series of plans you can pick, and each plan allows you to test a number of users per month. And what's cool about that is you always have a queue of people ready to go. You don't have to go and make a new user test all the time. You don't have to request new people. It can be a very automated situation, kind of like Google Analytics.
How does that work regarding the profiles? And I mean, if I only want moms, or I want dads, or I want teenagers, and my sense would be that this sort of crowdsourcing of what you guys are doing is very tech-centric early adopters, and that certainly appeals to Engadget, but I'm not sure it does
so there's 2 kind of solutions for that. One that's really qualified is being able to do the prompt on your website. So if you're already attracting those kind of people to your website, you can ask them to be testers. And because they don't have to install plugins or software, it's really easy for them. And the second is we have a directory of demographics that we've been growing that you can request your soccer mom out of. So.
Right. Got it.
On deployment right now, does it rely on frames? Does it work with like frame busters and the other kind of technologies that large sites might use?
We have a few different solutions to that, and since we're still testing out a lot of options in beta, we have a no frame solution we've been trying. So we'll get around frame busters.
Great. Awesome.
All right.
Well done.
Thanks.
Please welcome to the stage Gobbler.
Thank you very much. So when I was 13 years old, I had the luckiest job in the world. I started making video games, and for half of my life, I did the thing I loved most. And when I turned 30, I realized I had another love, which was music. So I left that industry, joined the music industry, and have now spent the last 6 years traveling around the world designing concerts and shooting music videos for some of the biggest artists in the world. And my tech brain never went away, and what I saw was that the music industry's gone completely digital. Everyone records digitally now. They've got home computers, workstations. But strangely enough, one of the biggest problems for people that record music is that they're constantly losing files. Crashed hard drives, corrupted files. It's a big issue for the music industry. I'm sure every single one of you's lost a file at some point in your world of computing, but the music industry has a big problem. And so I started to ask my clients, well, what are the 3 biggest problems you've got? And it's real simple. We can never find our stuff. We're always losing our stuff. And when I want to collaborate with somebody else, it's really difficult to do. So a year ago, I went down this path and started Gobbler, called my sister up and I said, let's start a company, let's solve this problem. And today, I want to show you what we've done. So this is Gobbler. And what you're seeing here is a catalog of a bunch of files. And what you're seeing here is the life of a musician. A bunch of hard drives with a bunch of stuff on it, and who knows what's on it. So it's real simple. I just click on the question mark, I scan these drives, and Gobbler basically goes through and looks and finds every single musical project on these drives and builds a catalog out so you can see what's going on. And it's really nice. So now I can unplug one of these drives, throw it back in the closet, and if I was ever looking for something, I can just type it in, go, oh, there's that project, and which drive is it on? It's on the desktop. Real easy to find. And it's a simple idea, but you know what? For the music industry, this doesn't exist. And now backup. Offsite backup is the only way to properly store your stuff. And these files are so important to these artists. This is their livelihood. If their house burns down and they have an extra drive with a backup somewhere, it really doesn't help them. So what we've done is we've created a really simple way for them to securely back up their projects in the cloud. And to do that, all you got to do is find a project, select it, click backup, and it's that simple. Gobbler's now using a proprietary lossless compression to make this entire project half the size of normal. It's encrypting it, and it's sending to a secure offsite server. But what's neat about Gobbler is it's not just backup, it's also constant monitoring. So what we've done is we've created a system where not only do we back it up, but we also can create revision histories. Because artists sometimes lose files, they get a little high, they misplace things, and we want to make it really easy for them to get those files back. And so all you got to do with Gobbler is say, okay, you know what? I want the version from February 23rd at 8:38 a.m. I click download. And in this case, I'm going to put it on this, I'll put it here, on this Gobbler drive. I'll choose the folder. What you're going to see is Gobbler's now going to the cloud and saying, hey, I want to make this version again. What do I do? And it's going, oh, it's all these different files. And you'll notice now it's downloading from the cloud. This project is a gigabyte project. And even though Jason has done a great job with bandwidth, this project's downloading way faster than the bandwidth in this room. And there's a reason for that. We're dealing with a system, Gobbler as a system is all about file management too. And Gobbler knows where everything is, whether it's in the cloud or on your drives. So what's happening here is Gobbler's going, oh, hold on a minute. I know I've got this project saved in the cloud, but there's a lot of files on these drives that are also in this project. So instead of having to re-download them all from the cloud, we're actually copying a bunch of files across the drives to recreate this new project. And by doing that, we actually make it really easy to move large data sets around. And that's one of the big problems that we're solving with musicians, is helping them move big data sets around. But sending projects, or backing up project isn't the only thing. Well, actually, let me just show you this. So we've downloaded that project, and where is it? There it is. So that's 1 gigabyte downloaded in less than a minute. So now I want to send a project, and we've made it really simple. So I'm going to take that same project, and I'm going to send it to Jason Kalkanis. I'm going to click send. And if you look to the top right here, you'll notice a ground notification. That project's been sent. Why should I re-upload that project to the cloud for him to have to download it? He's going to get an email at some point very quickly saying, hey, download this file. And what's neat about Gobbler is that now we're monitoring files on his side. So in the music industry, what typically will happen is that gigabyte project will then get copied to a new project. And Jason might rename it Remix and do a bunch of work in it. When he goes to send it back to me, instead of having to re-upload all that stuff, Gobbler's going to go, oh, hold on a minute. I've got all these files already, so I'm just going to upload the new and change files. And when I go to download it and save it to another drive, Gobbler's going to go, hold on a minute. I got a bunch of these files locally. So instead of having to re-download all that stuff, I'm just going to copy it across. So I'm out of time, but that's Gobbler.
Okay. Drew, I got to go to you first. Creator of Dropbox. How many people in the room use Dropbox? Wow.
Me too.
I like it.
People asked, how did you pick the judges? I picked it based upon proficiency in building apps primarily. Like, how good are the products that these gentlemen build, and ladies in some other panels. Dropbox is like an awesome product that is part of almost everybody in the room's daily life. What do you think of this, more verticalized Dropbox specifically for musicians?
So, we have a ton of musicians using Dropbox for different things, but we don't do anything special with, for them, and we don't do a lot around the workflow. So I guess my first question was going to be, so I mean, I love a lot of the stuff that you're doing around sort of deduplication under the hood and also kinds of various bandwidth savings, and that's the kind of stuff that we find our users value a lot too. It seemed like big parts of the technology were kind of complementary to the cloud storage piece. So how would you guys think about, and we can make the storage of that stuff a lot easier, or handle the cloud storage part, and without it really conflicting with all the workflow and some of the other optimizations you do. So how do how would you guys think about, storing the stuff on Dropbox versus managing it yourself?
Well, let me introduce Scott. He's our lead tech. I mean, architecturally, we're actually using EC2 and S3.
Yeah.
I think, and we've designed Gobbler to be sort of extensible. The reason why we sort of chose to do it on our own was just because of the way we're handling a lot of the files, the encryption and the compression. So it's just more of an architectural question for us. But
right. I mean, there are a few major differences. I mean, one thing about these music projects is that basically an artist will go and use Logic or Pro Tools. They'll make the project, and it basically will shoot out like hundreds of little files into this directory, and they make changes, and a random 30 or 40 files will change every time they save the project. And they don't know what files have changed. But if you grab part of the project, those files aren't in perfect sync, the product doesn't work at all. So the whole folder with thousands of files often 20, 30,000 files has to be backed up as atomic units. That's sort of different than the way other solutions work. So that's one key difference.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the technical stuff offline, but I mean, overall, I think it's a great concept and
thank you.
helpful piece.
What's your model? How are you charging people?
Software as a service, monthly fee, starting with prices lower than $10 a month.
And then you scale it based on
Based on the amount of space used and the amount of transfer you do.
And you said you were using proprietary lossless. Why wouldn't you use standards-based stuff?
I'll answer that. Basically, there are lossless codecs for audio, but they don't really guarantee the same exact format back out. So we have variants of those that basically will guarantee this exact same file. Artists are really paranoid about the exact same file coming back out of the process.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they're not guaranteed to preserve the metadata, for example, like FLAC. So we have variants of those.
I don't know enough about the standards, but
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, a
just
lot of it has
curious,
to do with error
'cause
checking.
Yeah.
They might also be fearful that they never get it back.
Well,
Yes,
the compression itself is actually an open source compression. We just sort of tweaked it for our use.
So yeah, there's basically, depending on the
So
type of data we use, we sort of mix
People
the
will be
compression.
comfortable using
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
How many people are using it, or customers?
So we've been in really stealth, super private beta, and right now we've got about 2,000 people using it. And the way we built the product, it's inherently viral, so that community's sort of grown itself, because every time I send a project to somebody else, suddenly they become a user. So we haven't marketed it all. This is really just word of mouth type of growth that we've had with the product.
How are you connecting up to other third-party services for musicians? Like, how do you keep them synced across different systems?
So actually today we've launched a new version of Gobbler, and one of the things that we've done with it is integrated SoundCloud into the interface. We sort of see Gobbler as your starting point for doing all kinds of music collaboration, and with SoundCloud we now are helping users not only on the source side, which is what we handle, but also on the distribution side. And we've used Gobbler actually as a way to solve some problems for SoundCloud, where you can now bulk upload your projects and bulk tag your projects. So we want to use Gobbler not just as an application for the worlds that we're working in, but also make it extensible for other businesses to use Gobbler as a way to solve a lot of their problems.
Awesome. Very well done. Gobbler.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is Hive Trader.
Good morning. I've got a question for you. Show of hands, if you will. Who in this room has some form of an investment account or plans to have one soon? Okay, so now who in this room is really confident in their financial future as they direct their own investments? A couple people. A couple people, right? Well, don't worry. We've got a solution for you. It's called Hive Trader. Hive Trader is a simple way to track, compare, and optimize your investment plans for free. At Hive Trader, we aggregate all of your investment plans into a single beautiful interface. We compare your performance to others in your social graph, and we help expose you to investing ideas that are really working for other people and can work for you too, all for free at hivetrader.com. This is my sister Kylie's account at Hive Trader. Kylie's 30. She's got a great job as an actuary, and she's done a good job saving money. She
works at Assurant where they have a 401k, but the 401k is a mess. There's so many choices. I mean, you guys know if you have a 401k, who knows what to do with it? And she doesn't either. So this creates this problem with investing that we all feel about. It's kind of closed and intimidating, but we want it to be open and simple. And that's what Hive Trader does. Hive Trader has all the tools that you need to manage your investments effectively. We have detailed performance reporting. We have portfolio views that allow you to see at a high level what you're holding in different accounts and then drill down into those accounts and see details. And we have real-time market views of your holdings updated throughout the day with real-time pricing feeds. And we cover all the markets that you need: savings accounts, 401ks, IRAs, college savings plans, and even self-directed trading accounts for stocks, options, and Forex. But Hive Trader is more than just a collection of fancy-looking screens and pretty graphs. We've done something we think is really special. We've made investing social. So at Hive Trader, you can come in and enjoy this social context like none other place on the planet. And here's an example of it. This is the Hive Trader comparison page. At Hive Trader, anybody can follow anybody. It's asynchronous like Twitter. So you can follow top investors on our site. You can follow your friends, your family. You can follow coworkers, and you could even follow launch conference judges if you wanted to. Once you follow somebody, you have access to their high-level performance details with complete transparency. Hive Trader shows you their overall annual return and compares your performance to theirs. So think about that for a second. Now you're able to see what's really working for people, what's really working. And you can take those ideas and pull them into your own investment account anytime you want. So in Kylie's case, she's able to follow all of her coworkers at Assurant. She can see what they're doing with their 401k so she can make sense of it. And then she can make some changes to her own situation to help optimize her plan. She's followed a guy named Bob. Bob is really killing it. He's doing really great. Because she's looking at this detail, she can see his overall performance history. She can see his holdings. She can see what type of an investor it is. And we even suggest a few people for her to follow based on who Bob's following. But look at Bob's return. It's 3 times the size of Kylie's. And the reason is Bob's made better choices in his allocation of that 401k than Kylie has. But she didn't know that. You know, now, before Hive Trader, nobody had that insight. But we can give that insight, and now Kylie has real, concrete ideas about what really works. And she can bring those ideas into her own portfolio and craft a better performance for herself. We think we have a ton of those kinds of tools that are injecting social media into investing. One that we have coming soon is called Hive Trader Advisor. We know all the people that Kylie's following and how they're doing, but more importantly, we know why they're doing well. We can show her all of the excellent investment choices that people in her social network have made, and we can present those to her as options from which she can build her own balanced portfolio. So it's that simple. But if she wants to take another step, she can fill a detailed questionnaire to create an investor profile that tells us about her lifestyle, her goals, her income, her appetite for risk. So we get all this information from Kylie, and then we can create a detailed, filtered list of investments that matches exactly her investment preferences. So, and then she doesn't have to worry about it. From that point forward, Hive Trader will monitor her investments. We'll take a look if something in her life changes or if the market conditions change as they did a couple of years ago. We can suggest new ways based on her input to recast her portfolio. So that's Hive Trader. We have an automated, mass customized investment planning tool for free. We think we're democratizing investing through our simple social web app. We're taking it live today here at the conference. We'd love for all of you to get going and jump in and start taking control of your financial futures today. Thank you.
Okay, well done. Can I also request a wireless microphone in case the grand jury or press have questions? Guys, what did you think of Hive Trader? Questions?
So how do you get stuff in and out?
Yodlee is the back end, so it's, anybody's familiar with that?
Yep.
I guess a couple things. I think obviously Mint was very successful because of its product design, and I think there's an aspect of that it made you feel comfortable uploading your accounts or sharing your account information. I think that's something you're going to have to keep in mind, people adding this. And from a design standpoint, I love like the bright colors and kind of the fun aspect. But the first thing I see like on your logo is kind of like the bug in the cave. And there's a little bit of that is if I'm uploading my financial stuff, there's an aspect of like, is this safe?
Right.
And I think that's one thing that Mint has always done a really good job of is projecting that this is as safe or as reliable or as secure as your bank account, as Fidelity, as whoever your accounts are with. And I think that's one thing you're really going to want to pay attention to, of being like a reliable front end for those folks.
It's a big point of emphasis, and we are trying to have fun and we're really trying to make investing simple. We don't want to be this big, scary, complicated. We don't put all these ratios on the screen for you. It's really just what you need to have. And so the fun of the UI is part of that.
And I like fun UI, and I think simplicity is going to be the key to make sure that it's get it.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of systems, Mint being one, might give you good feedback on your portfolio allocation, but it might not automate trades or actually change your portfolio itself. Are you guys actually going to be changing people's portfolio if they say, I want my portfolio to match Matt's, and then it's going to dynamically trade and allocate based on that one click?
Yeah, that was in our future. I had an automated trading platform for foreign exchange previously, so the automated trading is part of what we're planning for the future.
Great question. Go ahead.
Can I just add one other thing? Which is that what Mike just asked, I think that, like, I feel like I've seen this. I don't want to be super negative, but I feel like I've seen this a bunch of times. And so one of the things I would be doing, to me, you need a super simple killer app that, like Mint had, where it was easy, upload, they obviously use Yodlee also, and you could immediately start tracking your assets daily, right? And I could get a text or I could get an email. So the thing to me is in my opinion, hey, what can you get that really blows people away? Here's just one example, is that because when you look at someone's recent performance, and this is the issue that you have for the first 4 or 5 years, people should not be making trades based on last week my grandmother or Jason was good at getting a return. Real investing is about historical trends and fitting into that in different pieces. So one of the things, maybe could you get on, sort of pull a little bit of a Quora and pull in some incredible investors, right? And go to those guys and get them to upload their stuff, so that people can get a sense of both a history and a guy that's legit.
Yeah, and that was kind of our original idea, and then to get expert investors that people could follow in a trading context, but we broadened it, and they're still a big part of what we plan. It's good feedback, though.
Dave Goldberg, you had something to add?
No, I was going to make the same point Matt did. I mean, I think it's interesting. I think it's the notion of past performance is not indicative of future returns. Just because Bob and he's done better than you doesn't mean, he may have been taking more risk. I mean, part of the reason for a lot of those ratios is, on a risk-adjusted basis. Right. And so you start to explain that to people, you start to get it more complicated. I mean, that's sort of the trade-off. It's
But we are planning to score investors based on all of those different components about how they approach investing, and put people into relationships with people like them to avoid. So we don't want day traders, investing or sharing investing ideas with grandma. Right. So we're going to do something to make those matches happen.
Yeah, I think everybody's giving you the feedback that the trick is simplicity, sort of meant like the hard part is this is a really complicated thing. It's not just pattern matching on spending. This is a really complicated. So the simplicity and the hard part is, you can nail that.
It's a huge opportunity if you can get it right. It's been very challenging to get it right.
Yeah. One of the things you could look at is take Morningstar, right, which has got an enormous amount of data, is that if you could come over the top with a incredibly slick interface, right, that allows you to get historical data and et cetera, that to me would be pretty interesting. Yes. Because a lot of the incumbent financial sites, to your earlier point, is that some are complicated, but more importantly, they're not fun is, I think, the wrong word to say. Safety is key. Right. Is that, but they're not intuitive, and they haven't been updated. A lot of these guys are like out to lunch in terms of how old they are.
Yeah. A question from the grand jury, Sherman?
I've been looking for something like this for a long time, and I think there's been some companies that are experimenting, and I agree on the simplicity point. It is a huge opportunity. So I'm actually pretty excited about what you're doing. One idea I had, and I want to kind of gauge as an entrepreneur, your openness to these kinds of models is the idea of having some of those star investors and outliers who have incredible portfolios, and also as Matt talked about, can answer questions and so on, is looking at a freemium model where you unlock access to those investors for a subscription. So I could subscribe to, X investor for, $2.99 a month. So it's kind of similar to the newsletter subscriptions that have been launched recently. So I can get videos from them and Q&A access and access to their full portfolio. I think that could drive a lot of revenues for you guys.
That's a brilliant idea. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's hear it for Hive Trader.
Thank you.
Well, we're off to a great start. Let's bring out Overstat. You're going to love this one. Did you order this?
All right, thanks, Jason. Less than 1% of the internet is currently testing and optimizing their web pages. But the numbers show that pages that are tested and optimized perform better than pages that aren't. So why isn't everybody testing their pages? I suppose some people just don't care. But for the rest of us, it's the time, cost, and sheer complexity of the task. So Overstat solves all of this. I'm going to show you how in 2 minutes we can test a web page. Here we have a random website. Maybe it's not that random. You can see Overstat running on top of the website as an overlay. Next, we built the world's most sophisticated user interface to help understand and visualize visitor behavior. Heat map is a simple but clear example of overlay data. A moment ago, we knew that 200,000 people had come to this web page, but we didn't know where they were going, where they were clicking, what they were interested in. And now we're beginning to get a clear picture of what they are interested in. The top links is another feature built to be intuitive. These orange pins are placed onto the most clicked links on the page. As you can see, they're fully interactive. As you roll over the pins, it highlights the underlying HTML. You can drill down into the data with info panels and arrange it on the page. We consider this to be the birth of the category of on-page analytics, where a full and robust application is running directly on top of the web page. So coming back to our example, this page does a lot of things, but one of the most important things it does is it registers new visitors. So there's an orange button in the upper right-hand corner, and there's an orange button in the lower left-hand corner that allows visitors to click on it and register. So let's look at the data. We can see here that the button in the lower left-hand corner is not getting a lot of traffic. So let's create a test and see if we can get more people to click there. So we'll start by going into our testing suite, and we'll create a clone of this page, an exact duplicate of this page. And after we do that, we'll edit the page. So the original page is highlighted here in green and creating a duplicate. See if we're connected to the network. Did you verify that we are on the network?
Yeah, I think we're doing.
So we create an exact duplicate of this page, and then we edit this page. As you can see, the original page and our new variation are identical, and we're able to move around this page, highlighting any area that we want. In yellow, we can select single objects or groups of objects, or the entire page if we want. So what we'll do here is we'll select this paragraph And we'll just do a little text change. We'll highlight some text. We'll make it bold. We'll make it red. See how that looks on the page? You'll see it's updated in real time, and it's placed the blue push pin over our new test zone, which again is fully interactive, so we can move around the page and create as many of these test zones as we'd like. So let's create this. Let's change the center graphic on this and see if we can get more people to click on this button. So we'll replace that. Our image editor opens. This is a very robust image editor. It's like a Photoshop running directly on top of the page. And I think that's a pretty good creative there. And clicking on A, we'll see our original page. And then clicking on our new variant, we can see our new creative. So the next step is to send some traffic to this page, which again is very easy. And as soon as traffic starts to flow to this page, Overstat will calculate in real time the results of this. There's a lot of metrics, including bounce rate and the number of pages per session. But let's come full circle to our heat map at the beginning. So looking at the heat map, this is our original page. Up at the top, we have a tab for our variant. Let's click on that. And looks like our new creative has actually gotten more people to click on this button. So before we go to our next feature and show definitively if that actually got more people to click, how many people like our new version better than the original? Come on now. Okay, let's view it. So there, down by the button, you see progress bars that show each of the results of our variants, and it shows that 10% more people actually click on that link as a result of that creative. So that's it, folks. In 2 minutes, we showed you how to test a web page and determine that it's better. At Overstat, we believe that every page that matters should be tested. We provide the tools to do it. We're looking for some top-notch customers and some investors to help us grow. Thank you.
Okay, Mike Jones, big redesign of MySpace, and I hear engagement went way up because of it. True? Yeah. What do you think of on-page multivariate testing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge believer in multivariate testing. I love optimization. I think anything that makes it faster and easier is a big need. I'm curious how this technically works and just how you get it implemented onto a website. I think the other challenge is that you have more and more sites that post-login, they kind of have dynamic navigation elements, and that becomes kind of a unique challenge so that, if I'm seeing one navigation set and someone else is seeing another navigation set because of the way our account's set up on a site, that often, kind of throws a monkey wrench into A/B testing. But overall, listen, if you can make this process easier, I think it's a really, really big deal.
Great. So I guess there's a question or two in there for sure. Implementation, we believe in a zero programming model. So a lot of the current tools require you to instrument the page and open them up and do a lot. And so we just have a single code snippet that you put on every page that's the same, and it's smart enough to understand the composition of the page.
So I'm assuming it's just JavaScript that we're pasting in, and I understand that probably the broader market is definitely the just drop in and appeal to the non-programmer thing. But I'll be honest, I'm still looking for something that appeals to a little bit hardcore programmer to solve some of the more complicated problems like Mike is mentioning, because when you are dealing with, for us, the A/B testing that we'd like to do is not just change this text or change this color, but how do we rearrange this page and make two very different versions, test against each other. And I think that there's an unserved market that's a little bit more of a hardcore, we'd like to dig deep and have analytics and have more control over that, because right now we're having to build all this in-house for ourselves, because drop-in code just doesn't give us the power that we'd like it to have.
Right. Well, one of the features that didn't really touch on too much here is the fact that even though you might have two radically different pages, they're trying to accomplish the same thing. So the calls to action on each of those pages might be the same. Download a white paper or register. And so no matter where they appear on the page, it's the same goal. And so you're able to normalize across different variants, even if they're wildly different, to see did this variant versus this variant get more people to register, even if the box is up here or down here, or 5 fields or 4.
I'm very interested. We would love to talk to you at SurveyMonkey. I think it's that we've been actually looking for new testing platforms, both for A/B testing as well as for site tracking. We use Omniture right now, and if anyone from Omniture's listening, we're very unhappy with Omniture, so I'm sure I'll get a phone call. So we're interested. I think the question is, and it sort of goes to Josh's point too, it's sort of you guys, it seems like you're going to have to decide which way you want to go. Like, do you want to go serve like the SurveyMonkeys and MySpaces and Gowalas, which are requirements? I mean, I need kind of not just page testing, but I need flow testing through multiple flows. I need integration to my database to be able to see. I mean, I need a whole bunch of very specific sort of high-end features. Or is it just simple page testing, which is interesting, but is probably a slightly different audience? And those are probably two different products. And which way do you want to go?
Right. So the answer is in the middle. We started out with a bit of a hypothesis that the big tools, the core metrics, the Omnitures, Adobes, work very well across multiple channels and are deeply embedded in a lot of the most successful websites, but that there are holes in the workflow. And we've since proven that out and are talking to the largest companies really in the valley about this. And so the use of Overstat, even though it's the same product, may be different. And so some people see it as a lightweight prototyping tool to be able to quickly test concepts and see if it works before they push it into the big machinery. We do click flow analysis, and we have conversion funnels. And in 2.0, we have conversion funnels, A/B, so you can test all along those paths. But again, I think that it's staying in the middle of the testing and optimization of these pages, and not necessarily replacing the Omnitures of the world.
How will you make money?
How will we make money? It's a freemium model. So we believe that we bring a lot of value very quickly. So it's an extremely short trial, and then it goes from medium businesses up.
I mean, one of the challenges, in addition to sort of do you go for the sort of basic audience or like the biggest sites on there? So in addition to that, I mean, have you thought about making it or trying to make it a little bit more focused? Because I mean, one of the challenges we have with these analytics tools, because Dropbox, we want to learn as much as we can, is they really. There's just a lot of stuff and a lot of like UI and stuff and sort of things you have to figure out as a developer, which forces you to subscribe to this very kind of specific view of how you have to analyze your site, which maybe not all sites fit into. And I saw in the right-click menu, there's like all this SEO stuff and other things like that. If you want a really broad base, maybe pick one subset or broad user base. Like pick one simple thing that people want to do. Kind of like Kissmetrics approach. And just really drill into that, and then, acquire a bunch of users that way, and then maybe upsell them into something more complicated later.
Mm-hmm. Right. Just to build on that, because I think you said you want to be in the middle.
The fat middle, if it's a bell curve.
Okay. Yeah. To me, that's just a very dangerous place to be. Typically, that requires a lot of capital, and it's a lot of restarting. It's a tough sales pitch, actually, versus winning over a group of people, really be the man there, dominate, get people to love you. I just think that's you just want to be careful of the middle zone. Mm-hmm. It's very, very, very scary because you're gonna get long sales cycles. Lots of people say yes, 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 and say no, and just
And the really biggest sites on the internet have already are doing something else, or have the resources to throw engineers at this. So there's unfortunately a ceiling. That you can hit with something off the shelf.
And I think there's just an engineering base too that my guys are going to get nervous of we're going to add another JavaScript snippet to to the page, and that's just one more place where you're sitting there going, when something breaks, what is it? And so I think there's good advice.
Awesome. Let's hear it for Overstat. Well done. Okay, we're doing great. Wow, these companies are awesome. If you're tweeting, the official hashtag is #L11. You can put pound lunch, but there's probably a lot of other pound lunches. #L11. How are we doing so far, judges? Pretty good? Yeah. Okay, let's bring out Cabana.
Thank you. So I have a great idea for a mobile app. I'm guessing a lot of you guys have said that, and if you haven't, then you have a friend who said it, or you know someone who has. But a lot of the people who say this are not actually making the apps. How come? Well, first of all, it's hard to make a mobile app. It requires programming, and it often requires a language that not many people are familiar with. Let's say you go try and find a programmer. There aren't a lot of people out there, so it's really hard to find programmers to do your mobile app. If you do find someone, it's too expensive, and if you do find someone and are willing to pay them, it takes too long. We're going to solve all 4 of these problems right now with Kibana. So let me show you. What we're going to do is we're going to build a photo sharing app, because those seem to be pretty popular right now. So Jeremy's going to start off, and he's just going to create a new project. And the first thing you're going to see about Kibana is that it's an incredibly accessible experience. It's very visual. And everything that you're seeing here happens in the browser. What we wanted to do is we wanted to create an environment where people build apps the way they think about apps. So we have here a layout tool that allows you to just drag and drop buttons, images, text onto your app. When you start the app, you can lay out your screens in a flowchart kind of manner, where you say this screen goes to this screen, you pick the transition, all incredibly visual. And we did this because most of the people who have the concept for the idea for what they want to make an app, those often aren't the technical people. The visionaries are often designers and artists. And we've seen this revolution before. We've seen tools like WordPress allow anyone to have a web page. 15 years ago, you had to spend a lot of money. Sounds a lot like apps right now, but now with a product like Kibana, you can go and make an app yourself. So once you decide you want to start adding functionality to your app, you flip over the layout, and like you're plugging in a VCR or a DVD player to your stereo, you just start plugging these pieces in together. You grab these pieces, in this case a node, drop it down, and start creating your functionality right there. So we believe this is the way apps should be made, in this very visual process. But where do all these pieces come from? So we think this is the coolest part of Kibana, because we have something called the Kibana Exchange. And this is where you go and get custom pieces that add functionality to your app. If you want to add a Twitter stream to your app, you go grab that piece. Let's say you wanted to add a button that checks in on Koala. You can add that piece. You want to see your Dropbox, what's in there? Add that piece. Now, we've created a bunch of these pieces, but the coolest part is that you guys will be creating these pieces, because the Kibana Exchange allows you to wrap your services and expose them to the entire Kibana community. So as you see here, that's what we did here with Kibanagram, which we tapped into the Instagram API, and already Jeremy has the most popular photos from Instagram appearing in his app. And now he's going to go and add a camera. So we wanted to make this incredibly visual, incredibly powerful, and we know there are all sorts of startups out there who both have ideas that they want to make. They want to take their services and put it as an app, but they also want to expand those services and let anyone create them. So once Jeremy's done making his app, he can go and publish it. And this is where you actually pay for the app. It doesn't cost anything to start using Kibana. You can jump in, you can start playing around, you can build your app, and at the end of the process, when you want to publish and share your app with your friends, that's when you pay. And at that point, you only pay for the pieces you use. We give you a parts list that says, hey, you use that Twitter app, you use that Koala app, pay now. And that's how simple it is. So there you can see, there's Jeremy. He's adding a little camera functionality in. And then he decides, hey, do I want to publish this to iOS? Do I want to publish it to Android? And you can also publish it as a web app. Because all this stuff is happening in HTML5 on the web, we easily can create web apps. You just give a URL to your friends, they go on their iPhone, and they download it right to their app, to their phone, and they totally can go and distribute it as quickly as possible. So that's how easy it is to make an app with Kibana. So today, we are going to open up our private beta. We're doing a special launch invite. If you go and you tweet right now that you saw Kibana app rock the stage at launch, we will invite the first 500 people who do that into Kibana. You can also go visit us at kibanaapp.com and sign up for our beta. And today we're looking for a couple things. We're looking for those people out there who have ideas for apps and want a better way to make them. We're also looking for people who have amazing services and want to expose that to the other Kibana users. We are looking for investors, and finally, we're looking to hire people to help make all this possible. Thank you.
Wow, awesome. What do you guys think? Whoa.
Feedback time.
Ouch. What do you guys think? Building iPhone apps instantly? Too good to be true? Is it real?
It is real.
So there's two things. I'll go with the bad part first, and then we'll go with the good part because there's a good side of this. I think there's always going to be an issue of if you're really serious about your mobile app, you're going to want to own the code base in the end or know where that code base is or be able to go, dig in and edit that. And so I'd be curious what your thoughts are, like once you get to that compiling standpoint, where's that code come from, and can you actually take it somewhere and through Xcode or otherwise, manipulate it? But then B, regardless of like the end format, I think you have a very, very compelling rapid prototyping tool, and there may be an entire market that exists there of being able to go and say, I've got this idea, I want to prototype it quickly and get it out there, and sure, maybe we want to go back and remake it from the ground up, but from like a rapid prototyping standpoint, I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. So a couple things. Definitely, the rapid prototyping thing is something that you can do incredibly quickly here. I mean, typically when I look, we've worked with some people and they'll give us designs. We have the app, or at least the look of the app, up and running in an hour.
Awesome.
But then, so one thing about those pieces, you don't just get them from other people. You can write them yourselves. So your engineers can write all the hard parts. We like to think we're not trying to put engineers out of a job. We're trying to put them in the right job. So you get your engineers to write just the pieces that you need that are hard, and you let your designers and artists and visionaries put the app together using those pieces.
Also, you can download a zip file of the Xcode project.
Yep.
Good. So what's the trust framework for accepting these things that you then compile into your end user experience? How do you mitigate the concerns both on intellectual property and
right? So we definitely, we're reviewing the pieces that come in and are put up in the Kibana Exchange. You're allowed to, depending on how the person who's creating the pieces, some of them you can break apart and see how they were made and take a look at that stuff. And then we keep track of all of it. One of the things that, we come from a background of building very complex tools, so we're aware where all the pieces come from, and if we have to just squash a piece, we can do that.
so you'll build the marketplace and do the billing and all that as well?
Absolutely. So if you had an idea for just a piece, you can bake out that piece, put it up on the marketplace. You can set the cost for your piece and sell it to the rest of the community.
We also aggregate the license terms.
Yep.
So if it's pieces MIT license or different things, we have a place to enter all that information.
It's notoriously hard to make money in the tools business, so I'm curious how you think you'll overcome that.
Well, I think part of that is looking at sort of a standard middleware kind of environment where you just sell the thing to the end user. Our vision is that we want to be a facilitator and that we're really creating this network of collaborators, that people working. WordPress is a big model for us. Here you have a very small, passionate user group that creates plugins and themes for the larger community, and that's the model that we want to follow. We want to create that platform and let everyone make money off of it.
So we take a cut of the pieces, basically.
And are you guys participating at all in the transactions post-app creation, like the subscription revenue or sales of the apps? Or
That's currently not where our focus is. I mean, one thing that, as we've talked to people, and maybe sort of to the point of like, hey, I want to own it after the fact, when you decide to publish natively, we give you that file, and it is yours, and you can go off. We're not having tethers into it. But at the same time, you can drop an ad widget in, and we can do things where that ad widget actually brings us money. So there are a lot of options there, and one of the things that we're looking to do right now, post-launch, is to bring on some people who really can guide us about what that absolute best business model is, that product market fit.
And will the idea also be, if I'm building something and I don't have the engineers to build it and it's not in the marketplace, I can put it out for spec and someone can bid on it? Or?
Absolutely, sort of a 99 design style approach. So what we're calling that is you put a bounty on a piece. So if you can't find the piece that you want, you're saying like, I really want people to check in on Guala. You can go and say, hey, can someone build this for me? I'm willing to pay this much. Or, hey, I really want this piece, and you can go resell it afterwards. I don't care. I just need it for my app.
How do you bootstrap the developer audience if people aren't making apps with it today, or there's no marketplace?
One thing is we came to the launch conference to do that. We knew that a lot of startups are going to be watching this, and hopefully they're like, oh man, we want our services in there right now. Secondly, I like looking on news sites and seeing when I know someone's coming out with an iPhone app because they post a job for an iOS engineer. All those startups that are struggling trying to figure out how to get onto mobile, we think this is a great solution for them, especially being web-based, because it took us 30 minutes to wrap the Google Maps API, 30 minutes to get the Instagram stuff up and running. So it's really, really quick to tap into your back-end services.
Yeah, I'd be careful too, just for how you selling the dream of like, I'm a designer and I can make like an app, like sort of an easy bake oven kind of experience. It's a little. People try to do that by writing code or basically creating code through like flow diagrams.
Yep.
And often this is like a really bad experience because like you sort of hit a wall as far as what that can express, and actually text is like the way that has been really effective for developers for 40 years.
One thing that's been cool for us, we come from the console game industry, and so we were, our last company, we sold to Sega, and we had about 150 people, and the challenge is you got 10 engineers and 140 designers and artists, and you're like, how do we empower them to help us make this massive experience? So in the game industry, we've been tackling this problem of, how do you do more procedural behavioral coding without turning people into coders? And so we're trying to take a lot of that experience and bring it into...
Yeah, just things like Visual Basic and Delphi back in the 90s were like pretty, they're like, for a language purist, they might be hideous, but they helped get a lot of people in like VBA and Excel, like get people who are amateurs into like programming and sort of able to fumble their way around.
Yeah.
And it's rapid prototyping.
Let's take a question from the grand jury. Jose?
Yeah.
Earlier on, you mentioned that it was for creatives or for artists, and you noted that, Drew, that the challenge of actually having folks like myself, I'm a creative, and the minute that you got into the object-oriented programming, you lost me there in the user experience. Squarespace is actually a pretty good bar to set. WordPress, of course, is a little different. How are you going to fight the complexity issue in the language? You guys are speaking a very different language that's a lot of creatives might not speak, and I know a lot of them. Every day, I want to make an app. Oh my God, I have this idea. I hear it every single day.
Well, and we recognize that this is a big problem, and that's why we spent a lot of time trying to solve it. And one of our things is we want to have sort of unfolding complexity as you start building your app. So you start, you're working at a screen level, slowly you go down into the design level, and really the complexity of the experience making your app really parallels how complex an app you want to make. So there are a lot of simple apps, and you can get stuff up running very, very quickly that do not get complex, and you don't need to dive super far in. And we were building some complex stuff up there, but if you have your map widget that you drop in, and then you want to hook that up to your GPS, it's literally location into location. And so if you can hook up a DVD player, we think you could make some functionality work in this.
Awesome. Let's hear it for Cabana.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break in just a second, but two notes. One, if you're press and you got here late, there are some press seats in the front here, which of course have the VIP waiter service, et cetera. Anything to keep the press in their seats, and filing stories about these great companies will do. Saw 6 great companies. I want each of you judges to think for a second and tell me your favorite. You cannot punt, you have to pick one. We saw Stack Overflow, Careers 2.0. We saw UI, Gobbler, Hive Trader, Overstat, and we just ended with Cabana. Does anybody have a favorite? Think about it for a second, and let's hear your favorite. Drew, you're nodding. I think you have a favorite already picked out. Which was your absolute favorite?
I like Gobbler. I mean, it's kind of close to home for me, and it he was totally right on some of the technical. There are a bunch of things that we would just not do there, and I think collaborations like in music is an interesting thing. I mean, I don't know about it as a business, but as a product, it seemed pretty interesting.
Is that something you could see your company working with them to create these sort of verticalized shells or whatever you want to call them, applications with your
Ye-
API?
Yeah, because I mean, we're not going to build all of that workflow ourselves for each vertical. There might be some challenges that we're starting to talk about, but I think it's pretty interesting, just the layers you can build on top.
Dave, what did you like?
So I'm an investor in Gobbler, so I'm going to not count them. But I like Gobbler, obviously. I liked Overstat. I mean, I think it was ambitious what they're trying to do, and I think they got to work about where the sort of target is. But I think there's a huge problem there, and I'd be interested if they could get it to work. We'd be interested in using it. And I think there's a huge opportunity there. So a lot of technical questions, but I think the opportunity is great, and the product looked very easy to use.
Most people don't know you angel invest. How often? How many things have you angel invested in?
I don't know. I probably less than Matt. I don't know, 15 to 20.
Okay, great. Dan'l?
I like the Stack Overflow careers model. I just think it appeared to be a straightforward, simple, highly valuable way to present talent.
Awesome. Mike, what is your thoughts? What did you like?
Well, I had two. So, I spent a lot of time with musicians. I think Gobbler is a huge need for them because that's their, proprietary IP, and I think kind of vertical cloud solutions are interesting. I like Overstat, and I think they should merge with, UI, right? I think those two companies are solving very similar problems, and I love the idea of kind of simple ways to do A/B testing, and I think that's a big need. We'll see, I love to test out their product to see if it can handle scale, but it's interesting.
Awesome.
I already emailed my CTO and operations about Stack Overflow careers. So, Austin's a great place with no state income tax for engineers. Just throwing that out
Awesome,
there.
and great restaurants and lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And there's a few great companies there, like Gobbler. Matt, your favorite?
Stack Overflow. I like it. It feels to me there's degrees of network effects in that business, and I like that as far as creating something that can make a ton of money and be big.
So for folks who picked Stack Overflow, since that's a 2.0, give me your choice after that, just in fairness.
After Stack Overflow?
Yeah, after Stack Overflow.
I liked Overstat.
Overstat.
And I agree with Mike. I think those companies could combine.
Cool. That would be the first launch M&A deal to occur on stage. Right. And combined with Drew's business development deal with Gobbler and Dave Goldberg's investment in Overstat, we've got a lot of deal flow going so far. Who else picked Overstat? Dan'l, you picked.
I like the Gobbler model.
Gobbler.
I think you should just buy those guys.
Okay, so we'll have our first M&A. Great.
I mean, because it seemed like a good fit.
And Josh, you picked Stack. What was of the 1.0 companies, which one did you like best?
I think Overstat has a lot of promise for sure, and I would love to give it a try, so I'm going to throw that one out there.
Awesome. You guys can vote too, and we'll have your statistics up. Go to simex.secondmarket.com. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we're going to come right back, and we have 5 very exciting companies. Thank you.
I knew that I would. I've been